Members of the Secretariat, distinguished guests, delegates, and faculty advisors, good evening. It is my immense pleasure to welcome you to the 58th session of Harvard Model United Nations. For weeks and months, you have prepared for your roles this weekend. In the coming days, you will put the information you have learned to good use, and meanwhile develop vital skills in public speaking, writing, and negotiation. While these will all serve you well for the rest of your lives, I would argue that perhaps the most valuable skill among these is the art of negotiation. The late Richard Holbrooke, one of the most accomplished diplomats in American history, once described the key to successful negotiation, saying, "You have to know what the other side needs." Ambassador Holbrooke represented the United States at the United Nations under President Clinton, and he knew more about negotiating than almost anyone else in his profession. What made Ambassador Holbrooke such a legendary negotiator was his willingness to take the time to learn about the people he was working with or against, even when meeting with the notorious war criminal Slobodan Milosevic at the Dayton Accords, which brought an end to the genocidal conflict in Bosnia in the late 1990s. Ambassador Holbrooke took the time to chat with Milosevic to get to know him as a person.
Is an independent public charity that seeks to inform and educate Americans about the United Nations and UN issues, with a focus on the environment, children's health, and human rights in the developing world. And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to us from New York, I urge you to welcome Mrs. Gillian Sorensen.
One of our great presidents, John F. Kennedy. This past week marked the 50th anniversary of the inauguration of that president. In one of his greatest speeches, delivered at American University, and devoted to the question of peace in this world, he used a phrase that I love because it reminds us how we are connected as human beings on this earth. And it brings to my mind the sense not just of opportunity, but of obligation for us, I say all of us here, to do more because you are gifted, you are blessed with health and education and mobility and language skills and opportunity. He said this, "For in the last analysis, we all inhabit the same small planet. We all breathe the same air. We all cherish our children's future, and we are all mortal." His time on this earth was very limited, but you have a long future to look forward to. Distinguished delegates, future leaders, you have the capacity, I assure you, to create a world where peace and justice and freedom and health and hope and opportunity thrive. For that golden future, I wish you well. What, after all, could be more important? Thank you very much.
Determined to save succeeding generations from the scourge of war, which twice
in our lifetime has brought untold sorrow to mankind,
and to reaffirm faith in fundamental human rights and in the dignity and worth of the human person,
in the equal rights of men and women,
and in nations large and small,
and to establish conditions under which justice
and respect for the obligations arising from treaties and other sources of international law can be maintained,
and to promote social progress
and better standards of life.
For better standards of life, in larger freedom.
And for these ends, to practice tolerance and live together in peace with
one another as good neighbors.
And to unite our strength.
To maintain international peace and security.
And to ensure by the acceptance of principles and institutional methods
that armed force shall not be used, save in the common interest.
And to employ international machinery for the promotion of the economic
and social advancement of all peoples.
All peoples have resolved to combine our efforts to accomplish these aims.
To combine our efforts to accomplish these aims.
Accordingly, our respective governments, the representatives assembled in the city of San Francisco,
though exhibited their full powers found to be in good and due form, have agreed to the present Charter of the United Nations and do hereby establish
an international organization to be known as the United Nations.
To be known as the United Nations.
To be known
as the United Nations.
And with that, Harvard Model United Nations open.